Hey guys, Shazam here again, and in the lights of the recent Swag and Seth videos on Itachi, I thought, why not upload a video about Itachi? First, I'll give my opinion on both videos and let you guys know that I'm not biased towards anyone in this. I personally hate Obito and I like Itachi, but even though I like him, it's hard to look at him the same way knowing he's the guy with one of the most toxic fans in all of anime, and with the disgusting wank he gets, it's horrible. But I still see him as a good character and I certainly prefer him over Obito. About the videos, I believe Seth's video was fair if I remember correctly. He did wank him a little bit in my opinion, but I still believe he was fair. What was unfair and the absolutely disgusting thing about it was the title on the thumbnail. But overall, it was great. As for Swag's video, I'm just glad he addressed the Itachi being KCM level and speed trash argument. Even though he didn't have any argument that I found logical or acceptable. Not enough at least, which I'll be talking about in this video, but overall I agree with his video. So as I was saying, Itachi vs Obito. Now I'll have you all know, if I'm ever using Obito in a versus battle, I'm gonna give both sides full intel on the abilities, cause Obito basically beats anyone if Kamui is a secret. Cause we all know, he got beaten, or at least his ability got beaten, the only 3 times it was fully analyzed. So in this video, Itachi knows all the abilities and weaknesses of Kamui, and from those weaknesses, I'm gonna try and see if Itachi can do anything about them. I won't be using the Masked Man version of Obito, which is the 14-year-old, cause he's the same as Orange Mask in general, except that he has QB, which is immediately a win. Kinda, you could sorta work your way around it. But anyway, I'll be ignoring that. I'm also not gonna be using Jubito cause it's just an unfair fight, since Jubito basically low diffs anyone except Kaguya, Madara, Naruto. You could argue Rinnegan Sasuke, and if you wank a bit, alive Rinnegan Madara. So Orange Mask Obito, his main abilities shown are Kamui Izanagi, and this one might be arguable, but he has insane reaction speed when it comes to Kamui. The reason I'm saying it's arguable is because some people believe that Rinnegan Obito has better reaction feats because the Rinnegan makes it better. However, I believe it makes it worse since it takes large amounts of chakra, and especially with him controlling the Biju, and even with that he couldn't fully control them as they were attacking him at one point. The reason I'm saying this is Obito himself stating that the Rinnegan has a bad effect on him or his chakra and it exhausts him, and that's why Madara chose Nagato, who's an Uzumaki, to have both of them. Anyway, so Orange Mask Obito, I'll give him the same reaction speed as War Arc Obito, which is equal to or greater than KCM2 raw speed. Itachi having fast hand signs that even Kakashi's Sharingan couldn't track them, but he mainly uses Mangekyo abilities, so Tsukiyomi, Amaterasu, and Susanoo. His stamina is kinda garbage though. Against Sasuke, he used only one Tsukiyomi, one large-scale Amaterasu, and Susanoo before losing his sight. And I believe that had nothing to do with his illness considering it's in his lungs, so it only affects his stamina, and his eyes gave out before his lungs collapsed anyway. As for losing his sight, it's likely cause he had Mangekyo Sharingan for almost a decade, but even in part 1, he used one Tsukiyomi on Kakashi, one on Sasuke, and then Amaterasu to escape before implying that he reached his limit. Tsukiyomi is irrelevant in this fight because, as stated by Itachi, only someone with both the Sharingan and Kekkei Genkai can fully counter Tsukiyomi, even though in the Akatsuki Hiden novel it is said that love also counters it. Whatever the hell that means. It's stupid, but he also tells Sasuke in their fight that only a Mangekyo can counter it. But in any case, Obito meets all the conditions except maybe love cause he doesn't want this world or whatever. So Tsukiyomi is useless. In fact, I think Itachi needs to worry even more about Obito's Genjutsu, which is enhanced by Hashirama's cells, and was able to manipulate Yagura, a perfect Jinchuriki, for years without him noticing, even though there are theories explaining that, but that's not what we're here for. But first, let's break down Kamui's weaknesses before we proceed. So 3 things can counter Kamui, and each one of the following had a piece of info and took advantage of it to beat Kamui, and they did successfully. 1. Minato figuring out that he has an opening before Obito can rematerialize where he can hit him, but it requires a high speed attack, and the only high speed attack that is confirmed to bypass Kamui is Flying Thunder God, which until the end of the series is the fastest movement ability. It's not really movement, but as long as he can move fast enough, which Itachi doesn't have. 2. Kakashi figured out that their dimensions were linked, so if Itachi by some miracle managed to create a portal into Obito's dimension, he can do the same thing, which is impossible for him. But I know some of his fans will have the balls to claim that he can scream really loud and create a portal, and that's why he's always quiet, cause he'd shake the universe. 3, which is the most common one and not very specific, any large area ability with constant effect that can trap him like Conan did. With the time limit of 5 minutes he has, Itachi can kill him easily, but here's the thing. Itachi doesn't have that, unfortunately. You could argue he can spam Amaterasu, but that would end with the flames going right past Obito. I know, Amaterasu caught Obito once, but let's think about it for a second. Obito had his guard completely down, didn't expect that to happen, that he was forced to use Izanagi. At least that's the most logical explanation. Even though in the data book they say that his powers enabled him to avoid Amaterasu, but that doesn't necessarily mean Kamui. Because 1, at that point the ability wasn't established. 2, Izanagi was never mentioned. 3, the fire burned his clothes and he was screaming, and if he Kamui'd after getting hit, which I don't believe is possible, his clothes should be at least damaged. But as we all know, Izanagi erases any negative effect on the user, that includes on clothes. Anyway, so the next question is, how fast is Amaterasu? Well, this may surprise some of you, but I have come to the conclusion that base Genin Lee is faster than Amaterasu, and here's why. So remember in the 5 Kage summit, Sasuke used Amaterasu on Gaara, he called it Enton, I know, but Amaterasu is Enton, which is Blade Release. And it wasn't manipulated in shape, so there is no indication that that was Kagutsuchi. And Gaara blocked it, then Sasuke said that his absolute defense blocked it. The fact that Gaara was standing still without any movement also proves that it wasn't controlled sand, but actually his absolute defense, because as we see in the war on multiple occasions, he moves his hands to manipulate the sand on his own. So how does this make Amaterasu slower than Genin Lee? Well, Genin Lee in base was able to punch through this absolute defense. I know what you're thinking. That's Genin Gaara, and the one we're talking about is Kazekage Gaara. But let's go way back. Kankuro says that the sand moves independently of Gaara's commands, and it protects him on its own, and he has no hand in it. So how can he train something he can't control? Furthermore, it's not his jutsu. The absolute defense is his mother's, and to further prove my point, he doesn't even know the origin of the attack. He has no idea what it is, and it protects him on its own. He can't train it. Now I hope you can all agree on that. And Gaara's defense blocked that, so base Genin Lee is faster than Amaterasu, and I'm sure we can all agree that KCM2 Naruto is like at least lowballing 50 times faster than that, and Obito is able to react to that. Anyway, so Obito could just Kamui through the Amaterasu, and this time he wouldn't be off guard, so it's not hitting him, at least in most cases. As for the Totsuka blade, it's simple. Kamui. Here's the tricky thing, so the auto mirror adapts to any attack that hits it. Some argue that it only adapts according to the elemental nature of the attack, which are the basic 5, and you could argue the Kekkei Genkai as well. Personally, I believe that its limit was Kirin, even with that Itachi was damaged, but that's not for sure, and I can't fully prove that. But here is the thing, I don't believe the auto mirror could adapt to Kamui if Obito touches it, because Kamui isn't an offensive attack, but it simply warps into the Kamui dimension. So there is nothing for it to adapt to. Again, that's only if Obito touches it. So Itachi has nothing to beat Obito with, and he can't even outrun him with stamina. And he'd fall pretty quickly since we've seen that Obito has a lot more stamina, and he also has Hashirama cells. So my take on this, Itachi has nothing to do against Obito. No fast attack to counter Kamui, no another dimensional travel ability, and no large scale attack of constant effect. So in my fact, Obito beats Itachi low to mid difficulty. Now I know Obito said that he would have been dead had Itachi known his secrets, but let's be honest, what can he do? You guys don't believe Jiraiya beats Kisame and Itachi at the same time, and that's a direct statement and was implied later, so shush. Now for Rinnegan Obito, so that's basically Orange Mask Obito but without Izanagi, unless he throws away Kamui, which then makes him useless. In other words, it would make him a Sakura. Except that he has 6 Biju on his side. Now you could argue that since the Biju are larger and lack speed feats, they're easy targets for Amaterasu or Totsuka Blade. But also keep in mind that all fully armored Susanoo are also large targets and lack speed feats, especially considering that their legs are dependent on the user's small legs in comparison to the Susanoo itself. So I guess they're feet-less. Okay. Anyway, so if the Totsuka Blade hits, it would be able to seal the tailed beast, not the path itself. That's why Itachi targeted Orochimaru specifically, and not the serpent Orochimaru was fused to. And that's why Sasuke didn't get sealed away into the sword as well, because they were both fused, Orochimaru and Sasuke, I mean. Also, it's a sealing ability, and we have never seen a sealing ability that seals both the host and the sealed being, so in short, he might be able to seal the Biju, but he wouldn't be able to seal the path, and since they're already dead, the extraction wouldn't kill them. As for Amaterasu, it could catch them unless they use the Biju bubble cloak thing same way Naruto did to block it. For those of you who believe that Obito could just absorb it, no, he can't. In a scenario when he has all the Biju, he doesn't have the 6 paths abilities that are normally distributed among the paths. He did imply that he could use the human paths ability, but that was before his 6 paths of pain were introduced. Also, some people claim that it's because of what Guy said, which is false. Kakashi said that he couldn't because it's already taxing to control paths such as the Biju, and adding the fact that he couldn't implant a second Rinnegan further proves it. Not to mention, he acknowledges what Kakashi said and not what Guy said. Also, the Biju were attacking him at one point, so it seems Kishimoto tried to show that he wasn't enjoying his control over them. So, in conclusion, he can't use the abilities. But what's Itachi gonna do against the Biju? It's already been established that the Totsuka blade is of very little use here, and even if he does catch one, he's gonna be open for more attacks, and there is also the fact that if that one path is successfully sealed, there are still 5 he has to worry about. The only disadvantage Obito has is his inability to Kamui Itachi into the Kamui dimension when getting damaged, and that's been emphasized on in the war. Not that Obito needs to warp Itachi away, and by the way, the Kamui that Obito has isn't the same as Kakashi's left Kamui that warps objects with lower speed than Obito's, which requires physical contact. And again, I shouldn't be mentioning this in the first place, but Itachi's stamina, if we wank it harder than I wank Jiraiya, harder than Swag and Clyde wank Madara, and even harder than the DMS Kakashi wank, you could say that Itachi has half of Obito's stamina, and that's like a make-a-wish gift for Itachi who's dying from ninja AIDS. In the end, I don't believe there is much Itachi can do. Don't get me wrong, I don't believe Obito is invincible. In fact, I even said that there are people capable of beating him with the right abilities in my third point of Kamui's weaknesses. But Itachi just doesn't have any. And even if Obito doesn't join the Biju in the fight because he's busy controlling them or whatever, it's still a 6 Biju who are already individually more powerful than Itachi against him. There is nothing he could do. So this round Obito wins low difficulty, to be honest. Well, thank God I don't associate myself with many Itachi tarts, so I'm not gonna get as much hate for this one. If you guys disagree, please put the opinion somewhere else. That's a joke. Don't cry. But seriously, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if I missed something, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.